Well, hello and happy second Tuesday of the month. Again, we're so grateful that you're here. And I honestly hope those of us living in Winston-Salem, I hope if you live local, you have been outside enjoying some of today's absolutely gorgeous weather. It is crisp. It's almost sweater weather. Again, I'm a little bit of a wimp, but it feels crisp. It feels like we're finally having some autumn. And I will tell you what I drugged my husband to do on Sunday afternoon. We went to the fair, and we have lived here almost 10 years. And this was our first trip to the fair, and we had so much fun. We did not ride a single ride, but I think we saw every exhibit there was. We saw blacksmithing, we saw chainsaw sculpture, we saw every type of chicken in the world, as not to mention quilts and canned goods and flowers. So if you have any interest in just wandering around, appreciating some of North Carolina's exquisite art and animals, I would encourage you to go to the fair. We had a blast. So anyway, it's just kind of one of the fun memories I have from childhood in Mississippi. It was a little bit later in the year that we had our fair, but it was always the first time that you wore your sweaters and you got all kind of snuggled up in some of your warm clothes, which didn't happen often. But anyway, it was so much fun. And I would just encourage you, whether you're brave enough to go to the fair or you want to take a walk around your neighborhood, please get out and enjoy some of this gorgeous weather. I can't go any further without thanking our team, our AgingWell team. And they are truly the brains behind all of this that get us out, get the production team that helps get us out to you. So that would be Tom Roth with our CTSI, Courtney Hayes with our Pepper Center, and of course, Audrey Belfaro with our ADRC. This is the team, in addition to our wonderful speakers every month, but this is the core team that it's such a pleasure and a delight to get to work with these crew throughout the month, as well as this evening when we're putting this all together for you. I always say we thank you the most, because if we didn't have you as an audience, I don't know what any of us would do on that second Tuesday. So I want to welcome new members too. I got emails from quite a few people this month, throughout the month. So welcome to Aging Well. If this is your first one, we hope you enjoy it. And just remember that following this production, as soon as it can get loaded onto the Wake Forest School of Medicine's website, I send out a link after the fact so that you can go back and watch everything again. And we'll send out some more documentation handouts that will give a little bit more detail for some of the programs you may see tonight. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. So let's get this fun program started. There's a restaurant downtown Winston-Salem on Trade Street. Actually, it's between Trade and Liberty, called the Famous Toastery. And I was thinking, my goodness, how many different kinds of toast do they have to have a restaurant dedicated to that? Well, again, as the little teaser for tonight may have hinted, there's so much more than toast. You will see they're making a streusel waffle. Chef Liam Burkett is going to make two of their delicious entrees. And then Julie, let me make sure, Oshu is going to show us how to make their fall mimosa. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the folks at the Famous Toastery.
Thanks, Deb, for being part of Aging Well. Today, I'm going to show you how we make our streusel waffle today. It's one of our specials or seasonal items that we have for the fall, and it's a popular dish, and let's go and make it. All right, so we have our waffle mix, and we're going to give it like a scoop right here, maybe a scoop and a half, and spread it around just to make sure it covers everything so it fills the waffle. It's going to flip and cook for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And yeah, it's been pretty popular since the new seasonal menus come out. It's really good. It's going to get topped with a streusel topping. It's vanilla wafers baked in some butter and some brown sugar. It pairs really well with it. It's going to get topped with whipped cream and cream cheese icing. But yeah, okay. All right, it's ready. Nice, beautiful waffle. Gold brown and delicious. Right. So this waffle is going to get topped with whipped cream. I get a little good bit on that. And our streusel waffle topping on top. And then it gets drizzled with our cream cheese icing. And that's one of our seasonal streusel waffle for famous toastery. And if you can't make it, just come on over and we'll make it for you, okay? Okay, back at it to make the hash right now. All right, so it's a sweet potato hash that we recently added to our seasonal menu. And it's been selling as well as the streusel waffle. So to start, we have our sweet potatoes. They're pre-boiled, and then we cool them down and season them with what's it called? Paprika and cumin and salt and pepper. So we're just gonna put it in the frying pan, give it a little bit of oil, and we're gonna saute this until golden brown, but we're gonna just get it to warm up right now. And while that's working, it comes with egg as well of your choice. So today we're just gonna do a sunny egg. Get an egg, crack that guy right here. All right, better. So our egg's gonna be going. That's gonna be a sunny side egg. Our potatoes are going right now, still warming up. They're not golden to the color I want right now. But while that's cooking, we'll add the chorizo that goes in it, green bell peppers, and some caramelized onions. Now we're just going to saute this until it's all warm and golden. And while that's working, your sunny side egg is working as well. So while that's going, we'll get our avocado prep for it, because it gets a slither of avocado on top of it. Just gonna cut your avocado in half, and then just going to slice it into small slithers. And then we're going to scoop it out. Going to scoop it out like this. So it'll be ready to go, and we're just going to fan that avocado on top of the hash when it's ready. But you can do however you want, however you can to get the avocado out. I just like to slice it through here and scoop it out with a spoon. So my egg's going. I'm just going to put it up in the salamander. It's going to finish cooking a little bit to get the yolks all set and everything. And our hash is getting there, getting a little color on it. So we're almost ready with that. You can use the spatula to, mix your hash with. It's easier for me to just use the handle like that, but something that's not going to scrape a non-stick or just a rubber spatula works just as well. Yeah. So this is probably like maybe a minute away from being ready. Our sunny egg, a little bit longer, but it's almost done. Okay. And then the hash as well gets pico de gallo with it. It's going to be tomato, cilantro, red onion, jalapeno, and lime juice. All right. So now you see that the hash is all cooked, a little crispy, a little charred pieces on there. That's what we want, just like this. little crispy, little charred pizzas, but that's how it's supposed to be. And then you got a sunny egg, a little crispy right there, but it's good. All right, so we're gonna plate up the hash right now. So the hash is gonna go on our small little plate. So like that. I'll wipe around the edge, and then we're gonna fan our avocado on the side of it. One moment. Ooh, no. Avocado fan. Fanned avocado, and then you're gonna put our egg on top, and then our pico is just gonna go right on the side. Just gonna give a good wipe around the edge. And there is our sweet potato hash that we serve at Famous Toastery.
Hi guys, my name is Julie. Here at Famous Toastery, every server is your server. So with that being said, every server does make your cocktail drinks. And in keeping with the fall theme, I'm going to show you guys how to make our fall mimosa. It's really simple. I'm going to start off with a champagne glass. It doesn't really matter what you use, but this is what we have. So I'm going to give it a good rim in some simple syrup. And then I'm going to go over it with some cinnamon sugar. And then if you're making this at home, you can do whatever you feel like is right. Put more champagne in it or put in some more apple cider, whatever you feel like. We do 6 ounces of champagne and then 3 ounces of the apple cider. So it should come out looking a little something like this. And if you guys don't feel like making it at home, please come and see us. We'll be happy to make it for you.
You know, it's funny, sometimes people have commented that some of the chef demonstrations may not be the healthiest of all. And how I always respond to that is everything in moderation. And so while I probably wouldn't eat a streusel waffle every morning, maybe for a special occasion, it would be fun. So anyway, just again, when we want to give ourselves little treats, that may be kind of a fun way to do it. And again, those of us who live in Winston-Salem know that one of the terms for our beautiful community is the City of Arts and Innovation. And saying that, it comes as no surprise, certainly to me, that we have such a world-class symphony and an amazing opera company here. Beautiful, beautiful performances. And so James, Allbritten, I just wanted to make sure I got his name correct, is the artistic director with the Piedmont Opera Company, and he is going to give us a preview of what's to come, as well as giving us a little history of the company here in Winston.
Thanks, Deb, and thanks for having me on Aging Well. It's exciting to talk about what I do with a new audience. So my name's Jamie Allbritten, James Allbritten, but my friends call me Jamie, so I hope you will as well. I am the artistic director at Piedmont Opera, the local opera company here in the Triad, and I have had my job for 21 years now. This is my 21st season. I'm very, very proud of that. The company has done wonderful work over 21 years. Piedmont Opera is in its 48th season this year, which is really exciting to think that this opera company bringing opera to the Triad has been here for 48 years. Never missed a beat. Even during COVID, we were producing virtually. So we have always believed and done our best to bring the art form of opera to the Triad. Many people say, oh, opera, it's stuffy and it's an Italian and it's elitist, and nothing could be further from the truth. Opera was invented over 400 years ago, but the only reason that they invented it was not to be stuffy or elitist, but to tell a story in a dynamic way. There were artists and musicians and poets and painters that all came together, and they were just a little frustrated that their individual art couldn't tell the story as in such a compelling manner as they hoped it would. And they eventually decided to come together and put all of their art forms together to create one single art form. Now, what do you call that art form? Music, poetry, painting? Well, it was the work of all of those artists. And what does the word work mean in Italian? Opera. So they named it opera because it was the work of all of these different artisans coming together to tell you, the audience member, a compelling story. Now, to translate that to the Appalachian area where we are, we do tall tales. We tell big, tall stories, and we tell them in a compelling way. Where else but in an opera house could you sit down to watch a performance and know that there are somewhere between 150 and 200 people working hard to tell you, the individual, that compelling story? But that's also another reason why opera is so exciting. I remember when I went to see my first opera. I had been a kid that went to the movies all the time, and I loved movie music, and it was all terribly exciting to me. And suddenly there was music in the room, but there were no speakers, and people were singing from the stage, but it was just human beings making strings vibrate, making their vocal cords vibrate, and sending all of this emotionally powerful music directly from their instruments to my ears. I'd never experienced anything like that. And I always challenge people to come to the opera and experience that human-to-human connection that is more compelling at the opera. Now, of course, I'm an opera conductor, so what else am I going to say? But to me, it is more compelling than anything you can imagine to see all of the work of the artists, the person that designs the clothing, the person that designs the sets, the singer, the conductor, the orchestra, all of these things coming together to tell a story. Now, some people say, well, but opera's in a foreign language and I don't speak Italian or I don't speak German or French or whatever. It doesn't matter. First of all, if it's a good opera, the composer has worked hard to make sure that whatever the story is, that composer is telling you that story. And after a while, the language doesn't matter. However, in about the 1960s or so, people began to have a wonderful idea that they borrowed from foreign films. Have you ever seen in a foreign movie, underneath you have subtitles? Well, opera eventually borrowed that. They call it supertitles. And they put them above the screen so that any time that you want to know what is being said, just glance up, because it will be there in real time, a translation running the whole time. So if you feel that the music isn't telling you enough of the story, glance up. There's the whole story up there. So opera is terribly, terribly engaging for anyone who's willing to come to the opera house and give it a chance. Composers work hard to infuse their music with a narrative quality that engages an audience member and tells them the story. Singers work hard, at least mine do, to bring that narrative to full fruition and tell an audience a story in a compelling way. Orchestra members are aware of the story and are punctuating and supporting that story in such a meaningful way. So, for me, the only thing to fear about opera is that you might end up loving it by the end of the night. Here at Piedmont Opera, we've been producing opera, as I said, for 48 years. Currently, our home theater, the Stevens Center, is under renovation. So we are, in the words of Gilbert and Sullivan, wandering minstrels. So we are performing some in the High Point Theater in High Point. We are currently preparing to perform at Centenary United Methodist Church. They've been very generous to us and opened their home to us wandering minstrels here in the downtown of Winston-Salem. And over the next few seasons, I'm not sure where we'll be performing, but we will always be looking for compelling spaces to tell our compelling stories, as we have done for 48 years. So for over 40 seasons, we presented operas at the Stevens Center. We have presented everything at the Stevens Center, we being Piedmont Opera, have presented everything from Mozart's operas all the way to operas written just within the last 10 or 15 years. Now that the Stevens Center's closed, as I said, we're going to be wandering around a little bit. This particular season, our 48th season, we're starting with an opera. I'm calling it an immersive experience. I find opera to always be immersive, but we are behind that big frame. When you go to a theater and you see that big frame and the curtain comes up and there's all the action behind the curtain, well, there's no frame. We're at the Centenary United Methodist Church, and we are sitting inside that neo-Gothic cathedral and watching the trial of Joan of Arc. The opera that we'll be producing in October is called Joan of Arc, The Trial at Rouen, and it is about Joan's final trial and death under the watchful prosecution of Pierre Cochon. I chose this opera because once Centenary invited us to come to the church, I sat in the church and said, what would be extraordinary in this room? And this opera about Joan of Arc came to my mind. It is an opera that will take full advantage of the architecture of that space. So I'm really looking forward to it. And this season, we usually do 2 operas this season. This season, we're partnering that with the American Broadway musical Man of La Mancha, which we will be performing over at the High Point Theater. We are very fortunate to have as our Man of La Mancha Richard Oyarzabal. He's a graduate of the UNC School of the Arts, and he specializes in sort of the tales of Don Quixote. When he gives recitals, he explores that repertory, and he's really looking forward to exploring it in this contemporary fashion. And we're giving 3 performances of that in March at the High Point Theater. So we are looking forward to this season, which we have called The Quest, because whether it's Joan of Arc or whether it is Cervantes as Don Quixote, they're all on the quest for truth. Season tickets are still available. We open Joan of Arc, The Trial at Rouen on October 25th. So you can buy a season ticket until October 25th. Single tickets are available for both of our titles this year. We also have an exciting New Year's Eve concert. We are inviting several of our alumni artists, if you will, to come and sing in the new year over at Reynolds Auditorium, and you can get a ticket for that as well. All of these tickets are available online at piedmontopera.org, or you can call our office 725-7101, and someone here will be happy to help you. Piedmont Opera also has a volunteer arm. We call them the operators. And we call upon them to do everything from handing out programs to helping us bring our artists to town. Some will soon be making airport runs to go pick up our artists and have wonderful conversations with them along the way. You are welcome to call 725-7101, and you can find out about volunteer opportunities here at the opera. As I said, Piedmont Opera has been here for 48 seasons. Piedmont Opera was founded in 1978 by Norman Johnson, who was a musician that was on the faculty at the then North Carolina School of the Arts. He saw the rich artistic soil here in Winston-Salem, and as I said, bringing all of those artists together, it just seemed like a natural that Winston-Salem should have an opera company. And in 1978, they did their first performance at the Reynolds Auditorium. It was Verdi's Rigoletto, and they have been thriving ever since. When the Stevens Center opened in the 80s, the first opera that was performed in the Stevens Center was by Piedmont Opera, and it was Puccini's La Bohème. And Piedmont Opera has been running strong in that space ever since. Last October, We performed Verdi's, again Verdi. We performed Verdi's Il Trovatore, and we were the last opera in that space. So we are the operatic bookends of the Stevens Center. Inside of those bookends, there have been some extraordinary performances. We were also one of the first 15 companies to produce Kevin Putz's Pulitzer Prize-winning opera Silent Night, recounting the Christmas Eve truce during World War I in 1914, when all of the combatants laid down their arms and celebrated Christmas together. Scottish, Germans, French, they all forgot their aggression and came together. It's an extraordinarily beautiful opera and was another highlight of our many past seasons. During COVID, we were actually the only opera company in the state of North Carolina to continue to produce new works. We went totally digital during COVID and produced a double bill of American operas. One of them was a premiere of sorts. We partnered with a dance company, Festival Ballet, Gary Taylor, a great friend of the company, and he choreographed 8 of local composer Ken Frizzell's Appalachian songs. He has a series of songs that he recalled from his childhood that he has set to music, and we took 8 of them and created a ballet suite, which was a remarkable performance. So I'll close by inviting you all to say, come to the opera. There's nothing to be afraid of. Come see our dynamic storytelling yourself. You can find us at Piedmont Opera, PiedmontOpera.org, or you can always call the office at 336-725-7101. I look forward to seeing you at the opera.
It was such a delight to get to visit with Jamie. And I am personally looking forward to attending both of these performances. My husband and I love music. I probably love opera a little bit more than him, but I can promise you we are going to be there. So I would invite all my Aging Well friends to please, please, please come and let's see each other at the opera. You know, I'm going to go back to the comment about Winston-Salem being the community of arts and innovation. And, you know, within the world of innovation is certainly science. And our speaker tonight is Dr. Laura Baker. She is a professor of internal medicine, and she is a professor in the Wake Forest University School of Medicine, of Internal Medicine, Neurology, and Geriatrics, and she is the Associate Director of our Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. I'm so excited for her to be able to share some of the innovative practices that she has learned about, and we will be sharing with you of things we can do today. What can we do right now, today, to reduce our risk for developing memory concerns or Alzheimer's? So without further ado, I'm turning it over to Dr. Baker.
All right. Thank you, Deb. And thank you for having me on Aging Well. It's one of my favorite programs each month. So thank you. And it's just an honor for me to be here. So I'm going to share my screen and start our conversation. All right, and let me get into a mode that I can. All right, I'm going to assume, unless I hear from you, that everyone can see my screen.
Looks
so
good.
What I want to do today, it's okay. All right, I just want to have a conversation, and I'm going to have to talk to myself because I can't hear you right now. But I'm hoping that you learn something here that you can take home and start using right away. But I also hope that when you leave us today, you have new hope for what's coming in terms of new strategies that we're learning through science to protect brain health and prevent memory loss and Alzheimer's disease. All right, here we go. What can we do? All right, so I'm showing you the cover of the Wall Street Journal that was published back in 2019, so 5 years ago, almost, and just almost to the day, 5 years ago. But what was so cool about this particular publication, first of all, that it's mainstream public. I mean, it's not a science article or anything like that, but it's circulated in the public. And it was the first time that I'd ever seen a front page where it talks about what science tells us about preventing dementia and what we can do about it. So this whole article, and you can look it up, Wall Street Journal, November 17th, 2019. You can find the full article. But what it talked about is how we, the people, have some control on our risk for developing a memory impairment and Alzheimer's disease. So some of the things that we can do that were discussed in the article was blood pressure. What is your blood pressure? Keep it under control. And we've had some new science, and I imagine Deb has talked about this at some point, but we've had some new science coming out of Wake Forest, our home institution here, showing that good control of blood pressure can reduce your risk of developing dementia. It's really important to work with your doctor to get it under good control. But the other kinds of activities that were described that where we have more control is how much you move your body. Move more, sit less. We're going to talk a little bit more about that today. How much you stretch your mind on a regular basis. Push yourself, get out of your comfort zone, the cognitive challenge. What do you eat? And we eat 3 times a day, some of us more, some of us less, but what we expose ourselves in our diet what we expose ourselves to in our diet on a daily basis, a weekly, a monthly, a yearly. I bet it comes as no surprise when you start thinking about that, how much we put in our mouth, what the quality is. It affects brain. It affects the quality of the food, the type of food, affects brain health, how well you sleep, and the combination of these things. Exercise plus diet, you move more, you sit less, you try to put a little more greenery on your plate, and you're sleeping better. That's going to be better for brain health than someone who has none of these going for them. So let's go talk about a little bit about how we're learning about this. Okay. So I recognize myself here in the blue sitting at this table here, and I imagine many of us do. We have learned that lifestyle, and this is not always a choice that we have to make, but sometimes it's the activities that it's what we do in our lives. And it's our behaviors might influence our risk of developing dementia, which is, I don't know, if you think about it, it's kind of wild that not how we treat our own bodies every day could affect how your brain ages over time. So the kinds of activities I'm talking about that could increase your risk: sedentary, said that before, sitting more, moving less, poor diet, so suboptimum, so like eating Thanksgiving meal all 365 days a year. Thanksgiving at once is great, no problem, don't worry about it. But Thanksgiving meal 365 days a year is a problem for the brain. Social isolation. People who are isolated from others, they do not do well in terms of brain aging. They have more cognitive problems sooner than other people. And then people who are not trying to stimulate brain. The brain, think about it as a muscle. It has to be exercised. Otherwise, it will not be at its best performance. So what happens? So these are the kinds of activities that we can be couch potatoes and we can eat these kinds of, diets. Doing any of this, let me just be clear, doing any of this for short periods of time is fine. Our bodies are quite resilient. We can handle this. It's when this is part of our life every day, that's when we start to have problems. And so here at the bottom, I'm showing you when we have chronic exposure to these kinds of risk behaviors, it affects our body, how our body responds. Our body becomes unhealthy. Our blood pressure might increase. Other things happen, as we know. But over time, day after day, I promise you, it will affect the brain. The body and the brain are connected by this neck here. And what you do to the body does affect the brain. All right, here's our typical leisure activity in the United States these days, and actually it's probably worldwide. We figure out ways to find the closest parking lot space to the grocery store or wherever we're going. We don't exercise. We don't move our bodies as much as we used to. And even our, relaxation time is oftentimes sedentary, more on the computer or on our phones. This is a problem. This is not the way we used to be. Again, a little bit of this, no problem. It's every day that becomes a problem. All right, so we know now from science, exercise benefits mice and men and women. I just had to put in the mice and men. If you've read that book, there is a book called Of Mice and Men. But we know that exercise has benefits for people and for animals. And so there's a whole bunch of animal studies that showed, wow, look, you get animals to exercise and look at all the magical changes that happen in the brain. Changes that prevent the brain from aging cognitively. So based on those animal studies, then we started doing people studies. We're finding the same thing. Exercise, regular exercise, and I'm not talking about kill yourself in the gym kind of exercise. I'm talking about walking, getting outside, moving your body on a regular basis. That's the key. Regularly, every week, not once a week. I'd say if you're gonna make me put a number on, I'd say 3 times a week. 3 times a week, regular. We've seen the science tells us that regular exercise can benefit brain health for people as well. All right, I don't know about you, but this is on my diet from time to time. But I work hard to make sure it's not on my diet every day. A little bit goes a long way. As Deb said earlier, you can treat yourself. It's just you have to honor yourself by treating yourself here, but also giving your brain the food it needs at other times. So this is what we know. This is what we've learned from science about diet. And I don't mean dieting, losing weight. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about eating a healthy diet. And that when I mean healthy, let's just say colorful on your plate. There's reds and greens and orange. There's less saturated fat, so from animals, and there's less sugar. So the soda pops, lots of sweets. These have very little nutrient value. So they fill you up so that therefore you don't eat other foods that are good for you because you're no longer hungry. So just be careful, just not be careful, just be mindful of what you can do to give that part of us up here, the brain, that's so essential to define who you are, right? Without the brain, you are not who you are. What can you do to honor your brain so that you can honor yourself? And it has to do with what you choose to consume. We know that a healthy diet reduces stress, it improves the mood, it's good for the heart, it's good for the vessels, it reduces diabetes, type 2 diabetes, it reduces obesity. And now in the brain, we're learning it has all kind of positive benefits as well. Well, it's not just diet and exercise. There's other things we can do too that are good for the brain. And this is, maybe you didn't know about this, but, and I've talked about it a little bit earlier today, but cognitive challenge, pushing yourself, learning something new, a new language, a new manual for something. When you get a new phone, read the manual, learn it, stretch yourself to learn something that you don't know. And I know a lot of times, if it's difficult to learn it and you're having trouble keeping track, take a break. But that's how you know this is good for you. As long as it's just a little bit hard, but not too hard. That's what you're going for. A little bit hard, but not too hard. But we've learned that cognitive challenge and social engagement, being with other people, is really good for the brain, and it can be protective against cognitive decline. So think about that. Being together with others is a healthy activity for the brain. All right, multi-domain. What do I mean by that? This is the last kind of area that we're studying. Multi-domain means combining some of these things together at once so that you're exposed to more physical activity and a healthier diet and maybe cognitive stimulation all in the same package. Can that give you even more benefit for brain? So we're learning that, yes, maybe if we start combining these and that's all one package intervention, we might be able to protect brain health with no medications, just these changes. And what we've learned is that it does work so far in Finland. In Finland. So there has been a study that I'm going to tell you about next, has shown positive benefits of these multi-domain interventions in Finnish people, people who live in Finland. You're thinking, what about us? All right, I'll get there. So this is a friend of mine, Mia Kivipelto. She's up in the corner. She is Finnish herself. She's from Finland, and she's the one that conducted that study I just told you about that showed positive effects. So let me tell you 2 seconds, just a couple of minutes. What her trial was called the finger trial, because there are 5 fingers and you touch on 5 different exercise, diet, cognitive stimulation, social stimulation, and control your blood pressure. That's the fingers. So what she did is she gave people, there's about 1,200 people. They were all 60 to 77 years old. One group got nutrition, extra exercise. They had to do the work, some cognitive training on a computer, and vascular risk monitoring, so blood pressure control and weight for 2 years versus another group who got good regular health advice, more than most healthcare systems provide. And what they found is the people in this multi-domain intervention, they had improved cognition. All these people were at risk for cognitive impairment. They were at risk. They had higher risk than normal. After 2 years, the people in the multi-domain, they had better cognition, so memory and thinking abilities. They had fewer chronic illnesses, and they had less decline in overall activities of daily living, navigating their day. So this study just had this huge effect on a global level. Okay, whoa, crazy picture here. Crazy picture in that what I'm showing you here is a global map, but there's just a couple points I want to make. Remember, okay, so I'm going to draw your attention to the finger. You see that little finger right there? That's the finger study. That's Finland. Well, since the finger study results were published, there's been an explosion of finger-like studies, lifestyle, all over the world. All over the world. One of them is in the United States. So you asked, why only in the Finns? Will it work for Americans? I'll get to that in a minute. But I wanted you to look at all the blue countries. The light blue is where it's in the planning stages right now. The dark blue is where a finger-like lifestyle intervention is going on right this moment. So this is brand new. This is the latest map as of this summer. There are 68 countries participating in a lifestyle intervention study with 83 teams. So some countries have more than 2 teams. So in Australia, for example, there's 2 different groups doing this. And they're planning or running a multi-domain intervention trial. And it includes, get this, over 19,000 people across the globe, all doing this. Wow. Well, I hope you're impressed. We, the United States, we are part of this network. Here we are, US pointer. We don't use US finger. We use US pointer for reasons I'll leave for you to figure out by yourself. All right. So US pointer, let me tell you about US pointer. So our goal, what is the point of pointer? Our job was to test whether a finger-like lifestyle intervention can also protect brain health in Americans. The Finnish people, if you've ever been to Finland, they're very different than we are. They ride their bikes everywhere. Everybody uses their health care. They go to the doctor every year. Very few people that I know of go to the doctor every year. They eat very differently. They live differently. So people in a different country may respond differently to that kind of an intervention. So we need to test it here in the United States. That was our job for US pointer. All right. So I am the principal investigator of US Pointer, or one of them. We have 4 of them, and I'm one of the principal investigators. So what we want to do is test whether a finger-like study would work. And so we have the study design in purple up here. We have 5 different areas in the country. So Winston-Salem is one of the 5 areas of all places in the United States. Winston-Salem got to be one of them, partly because I live here. And so, but we thought it also, we love the beautiful diversity that we have in North Carolina, and that was very important for us. And it was a 2-year clinical trial testing 2 different lifestyle interventions to see if they could protect cognitive function. So here's our people, 2,000 older adults. There's their age without significant memory impairments, but all who have increased risk due to sedentary, meaning they're not regular exercisers, and they're not already eating a healthy diet. And all of our people have some borderline cardiovascular disease. So just maybe a little bit high hypertension, a little bit high blood sugar, or a little bit high cholesterol, but not very high, just a little bit. And a lot of them have first-degree family history of memory impairment. So all of our people are at risk for one reason or another. And we had 2 interventions. The 2 interventions I'm going to tell you more about in a minute, but the self-guided group, the participants are free to design their own lifestyle intervention that best suits their schedules and their personal needs. They receive healthy education and annual health monitoring, so they know how they're doing. In the structured group, participants are provided with a more structured lifestyle intervention, and they receive the same education and more health monitoring. All right, here's more information. The self-guided, they get group meetings 2 or 3 times per year. They meet in groups with other people that are assigned to the same intervention. They have a coach who helps them make their own decisions about what changes they're going to make in their lifestyle. In the structured intervention, they are exercising mostly like in the YMCA, but they are asked to exercise 4 times a week, 3 to 4 times a week. They're following a diet that's recommended, a MIND diet. They are completing computer training, and they also have homework in the community about getting socially connected to other people and volunteering and joining book clubs and stretching the mind a bit. And then they have also more frequent exams and blood tests. So what we learned is that community partnerships are key. You know, if our results are positive, that they tell us they're going to protect cognition, we're not going to do this study in a hospital. We are going to do it in the community. And so that's what we've been doing since day 1. We have our research clinics, and here at Wake Forest, we use Stick Center as our research clinic, one of our research clinics. We've been partnering with the Alzheimer's Association from day 1. So they help us deliver the intervention in the community, in people's neighborhoods. So the structured group and the self-guided group, they're all assigned to groups. They have teams, and they stay with those teams for the whole 2 years. So they provide peer support to one another. And this all happens within a person's community. They meet regularly, and they meet in the neighborhood, and they exercise, and they complete their interventions in the neighborhoods. And we feel like that's really important. And the Alzheimer's Association has been instrumental in helping us just figure out what's going to work and what's not. So fast forward, here we are in 2024. Ta-da, enrollment is finished. More than 2,000 people across the country are enrolled, including 400 people from our Winston-Salem area. So we are a significant contribution to this study. In case you're wondering, can you get in? No, it's the enrollment's closed. Now you just have to wait for the results. And our participants, what we've learned is they are successfully sticking with the intervention. They like it. We've figured out how to get people who are at risk and are not exercisers and don't eat the best diet all the time. We've figured out how to help them make baby steps so that it becomes their new life. And we are not making these changes. Our participants are making these changes, but we're just helping them make the changes. No one can do this by themselves. We all need help. So what's next? Well, 2 things. Our results will be finished, will be released next summer. July 2025, we'll know whether it works for Americans or not. And I'm happy to come back and tell you about it once we know. So Deb, put me on the calendar if you want me to come back. We're very excited. I'm, as the principal investigator, very nervous because I don't know what's going to happen. I can't know. What's most important for me is that I do my best job now as a scientist to make sure that the people are taken care, my participants are taken care of, that they like the study, that they stay, they keep working hard, that my staff is happy, that we all keep strong as a team. That's my only job right now. What's next after our results are released? There are a few groups in the government level who are watching us. And it's possible that if our results are positive, there may be a big rollout of brand new programs that will be available across the United States for everybody based on pointer related program for brain health. So that's my hope, is that we have anywhere if you're having memory problems, you could go to your doctor and your doctor says, you know what, you are at risk. Let me refer you to the local brain health program, and that you would be assigned to a team. You would have a lifestyle coach with other people, and this other lifestyle coach would help you make these baby step changes toward a healthier body and a healthier brain. That's my hope. Hasn't happened yet, but that's what I'm shooting for. All right, I just wanted to give you a couple feedback. I just wanted to show you what a couple of participants have been saying. And you don't have to read all this. Just look at if you want to, just look at the yellow. These are actual participant comments about their participation in the study. So I'm sure it said, one participant said, this is my lunch in Hawaii. Now I'm eating black bean and squash tacos. I played pickleball twice this week and walked 9,000 to 10,000 steps each day. And drum roll, she's still doing her computer training. This is a person who was not exercising, who was not eating well. She was at risk for many reasons, and now she's changed her way of thinking about what's fun for her. Here's another example. Just look at the yellow. There's another participant. Well, I'm going to read the top. The pointer experience has been wonderful. I cannot believe how differently I'm eating. My mind feels sharper. I'm doing physical exercise again for the first time in years. I wish there was a program like this to continue attending. I would even be willing to pay for it. And the last one, this has been a life-changing 2 years. I'm now teaching friends and relatives the pointer way. So I just didn't want you just to have to believe me. These are our participants. We just take them quotes verbatim, and we're collecting these. But I really feel like the study has changed people's lives. People in both groups are equally happy with their decisions. So I'm going to leave you with this. I have some take-home lessons learned from Pointer. And we don't know the results yet, but this is based on the research findings that we have so far, okay? Number one, move your body. Set goals for walking, if you can walk. If you can walk. If you can't, sitting in a chair, moving your arms, dancing, put some music on, dance in your chair. You'll have to figure out what's going to work for you, but put it on your schedule every day. And for me, I have to do it first thing in the morning. Otherwise, it will not happen. So find a time for you that you know you can put it in your schedule. Walk with a friend, take the stairs, park a little further away from the doorway at the grocery store. Just some suggestions, but move your body every day. Add color to your plate. How will if you think of a brown meal, how do you feel? Think about before you eat that brown meal that looks and smells delicious. Imagine first, how are you going to feel when that meal is finished? A lot of times when I eat the brown meals, I just can't wait to get started, but afterwards, I just want to go to sleep. I wished I hadn't done it. So again, a little bit's okay, but just every day is hard on the brain. Make little baby step changes. A few more nuts instead of cookies, yogurt instead of ice cream, olive oil or safflower oil instead of pork fat. Baby steps. That's all we're saying. Stay connected with your community. Reach out to friends if you're feeling lonely. Get out of your comfort zone. Go say hello to someone that you feel too shy to go talk to. Do it anyway. Getting out of your comfort zone is good for the brain. Learn something new whenever possible. Challenge yourself to learn it, even though it feels like it hurts sometimes because it's hard. challenge yourself to learn something new. And finally, as you're making these decisions, try to balance comfort. I just want comfort food. I need to do comfort activities because I'm so stressed. Balance comfort with challenge. All comfort is not going to be good for your brain. All challenge is not good for your brain. So find the right balance for you between comfort and challenge so that you can be your best self. All right. That's it. I don't know, Deb, do we have time for questions? I'll quit sharing my screen in case we do.
Absolutely. In fact, someone's already asked, how do we get involved with the work you're doing at the Stick Center?
Well, so at the Stick Center, we have many different research projects, and this was one of them. But we have many other projects that are very similar, where every project is focused on caring for our community, number one, caring for our community, number one, so that we can, as a team, figure out how to reduce risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and protect brain health. So if you're interested in learning about the different studies that all focus on these priorities, I think, Deb, maybe we could I don't have a phone number in front of me. I don't remember my
Yes.
phone number, but there are ways to get in touch with us. And I think Deb can help us know how to reach out to us.
And I can send all the information in the follow-up email that
Perfect.
goes out.
Thank you, Deb.
So happy to do
Thank
that.
you.
No, because
Okay.
I'm excited. I mean, again, like Laura mentioned, we're tiny little Winston-Salem, and yet we have this type of resource here. To me, it's mind-blowing that we have access to this type of research and knowledge and discovery here in relatively small Winston-Salem. So yes, I will definitely send out more information about how to get involved.
And Deb, I have to say, we do have these opportunities here for cognitive and social challenge. We have wonderful farmers markets, and we just heard about the Piedmont Opera. What better way to go challenge yourself if you're not an opera? I'm a major opera fan, so I would go in a heartbeat. But try something brand new that you've never tried before. And after what we heard today, I can't wait to go see a little bit more about Winston-Salem Opera.
And like you've said many, many times, challenging yourself, it has to be something you love doing or you're not going to keep it up. So
That's right.
discover something wonderful and new and grab a friend. That way you're checking off two boxes. You're being social, you're interacting, and you're challenging yourself, because things are always more fun when you do it with someone and then you have an accountability partner.
Well, and that other person sometimes helps you see the fun part that you can't see.
Yep.
And it just changes the whole experience to be able to share that with someone else.
It does. Well, you have a comment from one of your alumni. As one of the 400 participants in U.S. Pointer from Winston-Salem, I love the U.S. Pointer alumni group, continuing a lot of the interventions from Pointer.
Yay. Thank you, Pointer people. Thank you. Thank you so much. We would not have Pointer without our Pointer participants. So thank you.
And Laura didn't say it, but I'm going to. I mean, she led out this study for the United States. It started in Winston, and it was under her leadership that other sites were chosen. But I'm proud of what's right here. I live in West End, and it's right around the corner from me over at Wake Forest University School of Medicine, our Stick Center. So I'm just very, very proud of that. So
hey, Deb, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
What's a proud moment for us is that a lot of clinical trials to treat and prevent Alzheimer's disease, historically, we have not done a very good job at making sure that the people in the study look like the people in the community. We just haven't done a good job. And I can say with Pointer, that's not true. Our people look like our community. We have people from all walks of life, from all races, from all ethnicities, from different cultures. And what's beautiful is when we meet together as a team, the participants, they share what their culture is, what their culture is in the diet. So we adapt the diet to the culture of the person who's sitting in the room. And to me, that's just really important, that we are diverse and we represent our community.
And we meet people where they are.
Absolutely.
You have another question. I do online solitaire, Sudoku, and Mahjong every day. Is that of
Perfect.
any value?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As long as it's not too easy for you, it has to be. Otherwise, do it because it's fun, but then go find your other cognitively challenging if it's too easy for you.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you have done an amazing job of sharing your vision, sharing these tips of strategies of what we can do to keep ourselves healthy, both body and brain. I'm going to quote Jeff Williamson, who is our section chief leader over geriatrics. He said, there are two things that really hamper someone's long-term health: when their brain doesn't work and when their legs don't work. And so I just think what you're doing here is really addressing both of those, how connected our body is to our brain. So thank you very much. So, well, with that, I'm just checking to make sure we have no more questions. We're going to sign off. Please make a date for us for November 12th. Be back here, same time, same channel. We're going to have some fun. And until then, enjoy this amazing fall weather and be well, live well, so we can all age our best. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.